Tonight to the program, how the notorious road accident has sparked outrage, awareness of Thailand's road safety and lack thereof, as well as calls for real changes. An exclusive interview with the new EU ambassador to Thailand about the current bilateral relations and what the European bloc is focusing on. And discover the European cuisine in Bangkok at the European Gastronomy and Tourism Fair. สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Nabunag and welcome to This Week with Thai PBS World. Road safety has always been a big issue in Thailand. However, it was not until the recent fatal accident where a pedestrian was killed on a zebra crossing that has sparked outrage as well as serious debate on the issue. The fatal accident occurred on January 21st on the zebra crossing on Thai Road in Bangkok, and the victim was Dr. Kratai, who was an eye specialist at Walkative Hospital. Since then, Thai District Police have filed multiple charges against the non-commissioned police officer who allegedly hit the pedestrian with his big bike, including reckless driving, which caused the death of a pedestrian. The police officer is also facing charges of riding his bike too close to the left lane curb, not stopping for people on a zebra crossing, and riding a bike for which the road tax has not even been paid. This is sadly not the first time that a pedestrian has died on a zebra crossing. Even the Deputy Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Bureau admitted that this particular zebra crossing on Thai Road where the accident took place is a very dangerous spot. Frankly speaking, road safety in Thailand doesn't seem to exist. Roads are considered only for cars and motorbikes and have never been pedestrian friendly. How often do we see drivers stopping their vehicles for pedestrians to cross? In Thailand, hardly ever. What is far more common, unfortunately, is speeding, ignoring traffic lights, and even drunk driving. The doctor's senseless death sparked outrage on social media, pushing hashtags like Dr. Kratai and another hashtag which can be translated as "What's the point of having the police force?" to top trending topics on Thai Twitter for several days. It also sparked many more satirical memes criticizing Thailand's lack of road safety. And if we look at the recent statistics by the WHO, Thailand's road is the deadliest in Southeast Asia and among the worst in the world, with an average of 20,000 deaths each year. And if we look at the statistics only for the deaths on pedestrian crossings, just in Bangkok, we see around 900 deaths on average each year. And as you can see right behind me, the numbers are actually increasing every single year. And like we just said, this is only in Bangkok, because if we actually consider the entire country, the number of deaths on only pedestrian crossings actually exceed up to 2,500 up until 2,900 deaths each year. And the issue of road safety actually became one of the main topics among the candidates who are campaigning for the Bangkok governor elections. One example is the Move Forward Party's candidate Wirod Lakhanadison and his team, who visited the zebra crossings in the Asok and Rama 9 area. He found out that many of the roads are prone to accidents, with not even the zebra crossings and sidewalks pedestrian friendly, especially for the elderly, children, and the handicapped. Meanwhile, another candidate, Chacha Sithipan, made an interesting comment to Thai PBS, noting that billboard lights are much brighter than traffic signals and that people's mentality is that cars are much more important than other people's lives.
คือเราให้สิทธิ์คนขับรถมากกว่าสิทธิ์คนเดินถนนนะแต่เห็นว่าการสร้างสะพานลอยก็ชัดเจนเลยว่าเราคิดว่ารถสำคัญกับคนนะครับงั้นผมว่ามันต้องเริ่มที่จิตสำนึกเรื่องระเบียบวินัยก่อนกฎหมายมีอยู่แล้วนะครับในพรบจราจรว่าเราต้องให้คนข้ามก่อนแต่เราไม่เคย enforce ไม่เคยบังคับคือผมได้ใช้ทางเท้าบ่อยเพราะเราวิ่งผมทำซิตี้รันแล้วผมก็เดินเยอะก็เห็นเลยว่าเฮ้ยมันไม่ใช่ง่ายข้ามถนนนะเราต้องวัดใจจอดรถจอดให้บางทีต้องหรือก็ต้องยกมือไหว้เลยกลายเป็นว่าสิทธิ์ข ของคนขับรถมีมากกว่าคนเดินถนนไง
Since the accident, some changes have already been made. On Phaya Thai Road itself, more signs have been painted to remind drivers to slow down. District officials have also made traffic lanes much narrower and added rumble strips to the surface of the road. The Royal Thai Police have also proposed revising the law concerning zebra crossings. Currently, offenders face a fine of no more than 1,000 baht, but in the new proposal, offenders will have to pay no more than 4,000 baht instead. Elsewhere in Bangkok, Thonglor Traffic Police will be issuing fines to over 25,000 motorists and motorcyclists who were caught by CCTV cameras encroaching on zebra crossings at the Asok Sukhumvit intersection. Well, enhancing road safety with the signs and the traffic lights are actually not enough. What really needs to be changed is the mindset of the people. And to understand this issue a lot better, we need to listen to the people who still need to use the zebra crossings. Stephanie Adair has more on the story.
In Bangkok, crossing the street may be a gamble. Will you get hit by a car that has ignored the stop sign, or will you make it safely across the street? How many pedestrians have experienced this? Have they ever been honked by a motorcycle on the sideway? What are the measures they think that should be taken to make this problem go away? Let's find out.
ปัญหาข้ามถนนก็คือบางทีมอเตอร์ไซค์เข้ามาเร็วอะไรเงี้ยค่ะก็อาจจะมีบ้างไฟเขียวไฟแดงแล้วแต่ว่าเหมือนแบบติดพันอ่ะค่ะแต่ว่าตอนนี้ก็ใช้เป็นรถส่วนตัวก็เลยไม่ค่อยมีปัญหาเท่าไหร่ค่ะแต่เมื่อก่อนนี้ตอนที่ยังไม่ได้ใช้รถส่วนตัวเนี่ยปัญหาในการข้ามถนนก็มีเหมือนกันเพราะว่าบางทีเราระวังตัวก็จริงแต่ถ้าคนขับรถเขาไม่ระวังอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแล้วมันก็จะเกิดอุบัติเหตุได้อย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
ก็รู้สึกว่ามันอันตรายพอสมควรนะคะถ้าเทียบกับที่บ้านนะคะเพราะว่ามันรถโดยสารมันเยอะอะค่ะก็รู้สึกตัว
มีครับบางทีรถเก๋งก็จะไม่ค่อยจอดเลยคือรถเก๋งจอดบางทีก็จะทับเส้นขาวแดงขาวดำทางม้าลายเนี่ยบางครั้งมอไซค์จะไม่ค่อยจอดเลยห่วงอย่างเดียวว่าจะไปอย่างเดียวบางครั้งก็จะเจอพวกมอไซค์วิ่งสวนเลนมาชนหาแล้วก็ทำให้เราก็ไม่รู้จะเอาผิดชอบอะไรกับเขาก็คือเขารีบเราก็ไม่รู้จะพูดไง
While we were interviewing pedestrians, we witnessed crosswalk hazards right in front of us. A foreigner was trying to cross the street, but a taxi was blocking the crosswalk, so he had to make his way onto the street and in front of the taxi to get to the other side.
เห็นไหม
มาแล้ว
เห็นไหมแล้วก็คืออันตรายกับคนข้ามมากเพราะว่าคนข้ามบางคนเนี่ยเขาไม่รู้เลยว่าคุณจะออกถูกไหมมันไม่ได้ว่าคุณเขียวถ้าคุณเขียวคุณออกเขาก็จะไม่ว่าอะไรเลยสังเกตง่ายๆเนี่ยดูเนี่ยเห็นไหมรับไหม
ทับเส้นอีกแล้ว
รับไหมดูง่ายๆว่ารับไหมแล้วมีคนข้ามอย่างเงี้ยเขากลัวไหมเขาระวังไหมอย่างเนี้ยคนขนาดต่างชาติยังต้องหยุดไม่กล้าเดินข้ามเลยเพราะว่าดูเนี่ยเห็นไหมอันนู้นไฟเขียวแต่ฝั่งนี้ต้องข้ามได้ถูกไหมแต่ฝรั่งยังไม่กล้าข้ามน่ากลัว
We tried crossing the Ratchaparok intersection, which is near Pratu Nam, a popular shopping spot for Thais and foreigners. While crossing the street, we saw the crosswalk was incomplete, and there were no crossing light signals for pedestrians to see. It was pure luck and depended on how fast you could get onto the other side. Many run to the other side of the road despite red light signals, with the fear of staying on the road for too long. The Ratchaparok intersection is not the only intersection that is difficult to cross. All over Bangkok, we can see motorcycles parking on these crosswalks, or even using crosswalks as if they were a pedestrian trying to cross the street. Other than law enforcement who should deal with misdemeanors on the road more harshly, awareness of road safety should be on the mind of drivers, or we will never stop seeing tragic news of people getting hit or killed on crosswalks. Stephanie Adair for Thai PBS World.
Now that we've listened to the people who have to use these zebra crossings, now let's have a look at this road safety campaign, which can be a tool to tackle the issue of road safety in Thailand. Let's find out more with Jirapha Suwarnawitit.
Each year, around 20,000 Thais die in road accidents. In 2021 alone, there were almost 900,000 road accident cases recorded. These have put Thailand in the top 10 of the world's most deadly roads ranking in every survey. There are several factors related to the country's high number of road traffic accidents. Thai PBS World talked to Bangkok traffic police officer to see what he thinks are the main issues.
ปัจจุบันนะครับการไม่สามารถเรียกเก็บใบขับขี่ได้นะครับเนื่องจากกฎหมายบังคับในการห้ามเรียกเก็บทำให้ผู้ขับขี่ที่ได้รับใบสั่งแล้วไม่ยอมมาชำระค่าปรับซึ่งทำให้กฎหมายมันขาดประสิทธิภาพคนไม่เกรงกลัว
An anonymous traffic police officer admitted that less than 10% of traffic offenders pay for the traffic fines. It is because most of them know that they can get away with it. Usually, nothing happens when you ignore the fine. After the 2019 Road Traffic Act came into effect, traffic police were no longer allowed to confiscate driving licenses from offenders. Traffic police do, however, still have the authority to issue penalty tickets on the spot to a motorist or motorcyclist for violating traffic laws. The Royal Thai Police also plan to launch a point-based system to enforce the traffic laws. 3 years have passed, the system is still not ready.
เจอคนขับรถผิดกฎจราจรบ่อยไหมฮะเยอะมากส่วนใหญ่เจอเรื่องแบบไหนครับขับผิดกฎจราจรก็คือบางคนก็เข้าเส้นทึบบ้างห้ามเข้าก็เข้าห้ามออกก็ออกบ้างทางร่วมทางแยกนี่คือเขาจะไม่ค่อยชะลอความเร็วหรือว่าทางม้าลายทุกทางอะครับบางคนเขาไม่ชะลอความเร็วหรอกปัญหาเมาแล้วขับเจอบ่อยเจอครับ
Several groups of activists and non-profit organizations have been campaigning and raising awareness about road safety for decades. They attempt to increase the safety of pedestrians, motorists, and motorcyclists, decrease the number of traffic accidents, casualties, and the death toll. Nonetheless, no matter how hard they try, the traffic accident rate has hardly reduced, and thousands of people still die in accidents every month. They never give up though. Recently, one road safety campaign has been launched and is developed to exploit the pain caused by accidents. Their ultimate tools are video clips of traffic violations and so-called social sanction.
วันนี้กฎหมายใช้ไม่ได้แล้วเมื่อกี้ก็บอกแล้วกฎหมายเรื่องบนท้องถนนไม่ศักดิ์สิทธิ์คนไทยมีสิ่งศักดิ์สิทธิ์มากกว่ากฎหมายต้องใช้คำว่าอย่างนั้นแล้วสามารถโอเวอร์รูกฎหมายตรงนี้ได้ด้วยสิ่งศักดิ์สิทธิ์อันนั้นแต่นะฮะคนที่ทำผิดทั้งหลายเนี่ยถ้าเป็นจำเลยของสังคมเมื่อไหร่นะฮะไม่มีสิ่งศักดิ์สิทธิ์อันไหนจะมาช่วยเลยถ้าคุณไปเป็นพระเอกอยู่บนโซเชียลเนี่ยคุณจะมีเงินหมื่นล้านแสนล้านเนี่ยนะคุณไม่สามารถที่จะไปบอกว่าเฮ้ยเอาอันนี้ลงมาผมพอแล้วอย่ามันยิ่งคุณออกมาพูดกับสังคมว่าไม่ใช่เฮ้ยไม่ใช่มันอย่างงู้นอย่างนี้ทัวร์ลงไม่ยอมโซเชียลไม่ยอมงั้นจะทำยังไงอ่ะจะทำยังไงให้โซเชียลเข้ามามีบทบาทในเรื่องของอุบัติเหตุทางถนน
Every month, the campaign committee selects the outstanding video clips of traffic violation recorded by car cameras and mobile phones and reward the clip's owner with 20,000 baht. The head of this campaign said that the main idea of the project really suits the Thai context, as most Thais are not afraid of breaking the law, but are horrified by the embarrassment of social sanction.
เรามีอะไรดีกว่านี้ไหมตอนนี้ผมถามคุณจะแก้กฎหมายให้ปรับเพิ่มขึ้นไปเป็นอีก 50,000 บาทเลยไม่หยุดทางม้าลายสมมตินะปรับ100,000แต่คุณส่งใบสั่งแล้วเขาไม่มาจ่ายคุณทำอะไรเขาได้ เห็นไหมคือมันไม่ได้ผลทางปฏิบัติเห็นไหมวันหนึ่งตำรวจยังต้องเอาจ่าเฉยมาตั้งเลยเห็นไหมแล้วพอคนเรียนรู้ว่าเป็นจ่าเฉยก็ไม่กลัวแต่นี่แหละครับสิ่งที่คนไทยกลัว เขาไม่อยากเป็นจำเลยของสังคมคุณอาจจะเป็นจำเลยของตำรวจของศาลแต่มันไม่ได้ทำให้ต่อมจิตสำนึกคุณกระเตื้องขึ้นเลยแต่คุณไปเป็นพระเอกบนโซเชียลต่อมจิตสำนึกคุณเนี่ยจะพุ่งพรวดขึ้นมาเลยแล้วพอคุณเห็นคนอื่นโดนนะแล้วโอกาสโดนสูงเนี่ยนะยิ่งจิตสำนึกก็จะเกิดขึ้นเร็วขึ้น
And we have to accept the fact that it's the mentality of the drivers that really needs to be fixed. And now let's have a look at the other stories in our weekly roundup. Clusters of infections related to marketplaces have been reported in Bangkok and 20 other provinces as the CCSA warns of a possible surge in infections in the next 1 or 2 weeks related to the Chinese New Year. The clusters have been reported in Saratburi, Chonburi, Kanchanaburi,ศรีสะเกษ อุบลราชธานี ประจวบคีรีขันธ์ น่าน ร้อยเอ็ด นครราชสีมา ปทุมธานี สุรินทร์ ลพบุรี ปราจีนบุรี ตาก ขอนแก่น อ่างทอง เชียงใหม่ อยุธยา อุดรธานี สมุทรสาคร and Bangkok. Another issue of concern are the clusters of infections related to religious activities and weddings found in some provinces, such as อุบลราชธานี ศรีสะเกษ เพชรบุรี จันทบุรี and อุดรธานี. Thailand has closed the command center handling the oil leak in its eastern province of Rayong after the slicks leaked in the Gulf of Thailand last Tuesday have been successfully dispersed. Authorities will still monitor the situation closely for at least another 7 days. Though the oil on the surface of the ocean has been dispersed, some black lumps have been detected underwater. It is yet to be confirmed whether the material is related to the oil spill. Samples have been collected for lab analysis. 3 suspected insurgents were shot dead by government security forces in the Janat district of Thailand's southern province of Songkhla on Thursday morning. The 4th insurgent holding out in a house was later captured by security forces in the evening, following a siege which lasted over 10 hours. This year, the Copper Gold military exercise will be held between February 22nd and March 4th and will be somewhat scaled down again due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This time, fewer than 2,000 international troops will participate. Last year, only 600 from the US took part. In normal years, the exercise sees more than 10,000 troops taking part. Also, there will be no live fire demonstrations, amphibious landings, or assaults. And now it's time for the ambassador, where Hattai Teshikitiranan had a chance to talk to the new EU ambassador to Thailand as he talks about the bilateral ties with Thailand, as well as what the regional bloc is all about.
Ambassador Daly told us why he's chosen to serve the European Union, which is a unique bloc of 27 nations.
I came to the EU through Ireland. I had worked in the Irish Ministry of Agriculture. Then I joined the Irish Diplomatic Service, and an opportunity arose to come to the European Commission in Brussels. So I came to Brussels to sort of see if I liked it, and I thought it would be an interesting experience for a couple of years. But 30 years later, I'm still part of the EU service. That shows you that it's in fact very professionally enriching.
Trade is a key theme in relations between Thailand and the EU. There's a plan towards a free trade agreement, or FTA, but no time has been set yet for when negotiations can begin.
We very much hope to resume negotiations with Thailand on an FTA. What we're doing right now is that we are engaged in an exercise with Thailand to examine the question, look, do we want the same sort of things from this FTA? Do we see it as an agreement which will cover a large range of topics, or an agreement that will cover a narrower range of topics? Our relationship obviously has a very, very strong economic underpinning. Our trade is around 30 billion euro a year. So it's a very solid underpin. The European Union is the fourth largest trading partner of Thailand, and we're the third largest foreign direct investment partner of Thailand.
With full diplomatic ties being restored following an announcement of the 2019 general elections after a period of downgraded relations in response to the 2014 coup, the EU hopes to deepen ties with Thailand in areas other than trade as well through a partnership agreement.
We see that Thailand is on a path back to democracy, back to a stronger respect of human rights and rule of law. And these elements are very, very important in the considerations of the European Union in its relations with Thailand and any other country. We have issues that we have been discussing in the fisheries area, for example, with IUU fisheries. We want to look at areas like security, maritime security perhaps, or cyber. We have had a developing discussion on labor issues. We want to work together very strongly on global issues like climate change, like the environment, like biodiversity. But what we want to do right now is we want to finalize the negotiations of our partnership agreement. And this agreement will put a much better structure on our relations.
The EU-Thailand relations are also important to the European bloc's partnership with ASEAN, especially as the two regional unions upgraded their 4-decade ties with a strategic partnership in 2020. On the global stage, the EU has set itself apart, the ambassador said, by favoring international rules and trade, as well as funding in global issues and being one of the world's soft powers.
The European Union is a major player in the world, starting from the huge internal market of 450 million people, very, very open to the world, very competitive. We do have a certain influence that comes from that. I think we also have an influence coming from the fact that the European Union demonstrates a very high degree of solidarity, both within the Union, but also between the European Union and other parts of the world. We also saw that and see that in the COVID context. The European Union is the leading funder of COVAX. Without calling ourselves a superpower, I think it's clear that there are many, many fields where the European Union does have a strong power. It may be a soft power, it may be a soft power getting harder. We've evolved over the last 20 years. We are much more now a voice also on political, foreign policy, security, and defense issues. Success can breed complacency, and that's a challenge for us. We have to keep reminding ourselves of our history and ensuring that every generation understands that it has to take its turn at the wheel as well.
Hathai Teshakit Thiranan reporting for Thai PBS World.
And one way to share the soft power is through food and travel. In this episode of Walk-A-Tif, our reporter Gitipat Chusukjit will show you what this amazing continent has in store for visitors like us through this fair, the European Gastronomy and Tourism Fair.
COVID-19 is still the limiting foreign travel if you miss Europe. However, this event will give you a tasty preview of the West without having to fly anywhere. This is European Gastronomy and Tourism Fair at Alliance Française, Bangkok. With over 30 exhibitors from European countries like France, Belgium, Finland, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, Poland,
Romania, and Spain. This event will bring the various culinary cultures of Europe to all visitors. Many European dishes, desserts, and drinks were here for participants to discover their iconic flavors, including French croissant, Italian pasta and gelato ice cream, Spanish tortilla, Belgian waffle, Luxembourg hammerschmier, a traditional Romanian pastry, Polish paczki, Finnish juice, a vast variety of cheeses, and much more. Of course, all of these were presented by their national hosts.
It's a wonderful way in which to sample some of the great different elements of European cuisine. The European Union is a union, but it is a union of 27 different countries. And each country has its specialities, it has its wonderful things, and you get a sample of these here just walking around. So you have a tour of Europe just by walking around this morning in the Alliance Française.
According to the director of Alliance Française Bangkok, even though this is the first European gastronomy and tourism fair at that location, it's not the first event of its kind.
It's the first time for this event, but this is not the first time for this kind of events. Actually, we have this kind of fair or market usually one time a year for the Christmas market, but this time we wanted to organize something specifically in January in the frame of the French presidency of the Council of the European Union, which is happening for 6 months, meaning like from January to June, France is holding the presidency of the Council of the European Union. And on this occasion, we wanted to have like a gastronomic and tourism fair to show the diversity of Europe cuisine.
One of the highlights of the event is a lucky draw. 5 lucky people will go home with a free meal. Besides European signature cuisines, the event also provides tourism information and previews of the various attractions and wonderful destinations in Europe for both tourists and traders. Mr. Barno said that this is a successful event and he's now looking forward to organizing it again next year.
It's a first time, but still it's a good first time, and I think like I've been talking to the other partners, and they are pretty much interested to continue to do another event of this kind. So I'm pretty sure that if the situation allows us to gather again, then we'll organize something like this again, and maybe with even more countries and even more food.
Kittipat Sukchit reporting for Thai PBS World.
That's definitely a very interesting event right here. And that wraps up tonight's edition of This Week with Thai PBS World. Join us every Friday at 10:15 p.m. only on Thai PBS. And don't forget to follow us on social media, including our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ